did this ourselves.
They're coming. It can't be.
Where is everyone?
All right, guys, Makeshift here, and we are back for part 2 of Mojave Muse's Guide to Survival. We went a little long last episode, but there's so much to go over. You're good. No, this is good. This is good information. And here's the thing. I know there's a lot of Wastelanders out there that are literally right now stitching together their costume or rubbing it with one of Carl Bartoszinski's
Fuller's Earth.
The Fuller's. No, he sells the drill bit things.
Oh, yes, the Zerfetzers.
Right? Yeah. What do you call it?
Zerfetzer.
Zerfetzer. Yeah, that's a word.
It's
Those are some letters.
But it's basically like a bunch of hole saws that are still kept together, and it helps you to distress anything really quickly.
Shredding isn't just for guitars.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But we are back. We have a lot more to talk about, and there's some more very important information you're going to need for Wasteland. So thank you guys for paying attention, and I hope that we're going to make your Wasteland experience as seamless or as distressing as possible. No, as not distressing as you see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to.
I feel like I know what you're doing, and I'm here for the ride.
You're reaching for it. It's just right out of your reach.
Yeah, this is why I should do more writing before I do some of these episodes. Anyway, we kind of left off with food, and what we didn't get to last time was cooking, which is actually really important because, like I said, the Dukes, we kind of cook over an open fire a lot, but there's also like, you can bring a whole grill and just hide it behind your camp. Yeah. Or if you're in Tent City, don't even worry about hiding it. But there's quite a few ways to cook things. And Muse, I think you've got a few. There
are. Most people are going to be coming with like a Coleman stove, the camping essential. Just keep in mind that thing is not going to push out the same amount of energy as your home stove does. So
especially if it's windy and all that heat's getting sucked away.
So boiling water might take longer than you expect, or getting your bacon to the crispy level that you enjoy is just going to just take more time, and time is going to take its time.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to cook for like 12 people and you're used to cooking for 2 people at home.
Yeah.
Everything is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Recruit help every time.
Yeah.
Recruit help, actually, absolutely. If you can get like 4 people cooking on Coleman stoves at the same time and delegate like who's doing what, I think it goes much faster.
Absolutely.
Think restaurant, not home cooking.
Definitely. And if you're going to try to do like open fire, practice ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because open fire cooking is so hard. And there's some wonderful, I just actually got to hang out with some friends down in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And their mom does a like cowboy cookout often, which is open fire cooking, but it takes so much attention. And of course, like something that takes 10 minutes on a stove is going to take an hour on a fire. So you might want to consider like getting like cooking thermometers if you're cooking meat, especially to make sure you're hitting the right temperatures, and practice and watch some YouTube videos on it.
Yes. Meat safety. But there's other things you can do too. Like there's now these propane flat top griddles that work excellently out there, especially if you get the wind guards that go with them.
That's what we have. And
they have 24 inches, or I bring a 36-inch one because I cook for a lot of people, and being able to just machine gun out eggs is wonderful.
Yeah. 100% gonna suggest if you are cooking out there for the first time to go that route and avoid open fire cooking, because coming at this from 2 perspectives, from living history and then this, open fire cooking sucks.
Yeah. And then everything won't take as much time. Keep in mind with your propane, 2 is 1. Make sure you have double of your
redundancies.
Redundancies, because like, I filled up that bottle before I left. Why is it so light? Because things shuffle, they move in the car, things happen. So try to account for Murphy.
Every time. But propane cooking, I think, really is going to be ideal, because then you have to worry 100% less about,
spark arresters,
fire problems,
wildfires. Speaking of fires, though, have a camp extinguisher, even if you're doing propane only. Shit happens. Account for shit happening, please. Yeah. And make sure that if you have a generator or something like that, you don't put the fire extinguisher on top of the generator.
It needs to be nearby, but not where not on the fire would be.
10 feet is a good rule of space.
Yeah, and actually that has been a rule over the last few years. If you have an open fire or a generator, you have to have a freestanding, accessible fire extinguisher in your camp.
Yes, absolutely.
You should just have one anyways, though, because even if it's not your camp, a neighbor can have something can happen with a neighbor. Right. If they're not there, you know, you can swoop in and save the day. I would even add on to that, if you drive a nice old shit box, that's your Wasteland rig, something from the 70s or the 80s, that might have, you know, a slight fuel leak, something like that. As a shitbox connoisseur, been there. Having an ABC fire extinguisher in that rig, as well as one in your car, is excellent advice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also on that same note, if you do have some kind of open flame cooking or propane cooking, a grill or a generator, keep all your fuels. I think it's about 20 feet away.
I think it's 20 feet. I'd have to relook on the website, which you all should read the website.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you don't want to keep your fuel near any sorts of sparks or fire that the wind could
because if there's any rule changes, they're going to put that on the website. And
definitely.
Then it'll go elsewhere from there.
Yeah, it is California. Let's not play with open fire.
Fire season is every season.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, we've had a handful of small fire emergencies at Wasteland, but for the most part, for the most part, it's been really good. And actually, a couple of years ago, there was one where someone had either a magnifying glass or like binoculars or something in their tent, which caught the sun and lit their tent on fire.
Yes.
So be mindful of any crystals, magnifying glasses, or basically any glass.
Yes. Scrying orbs, anything like that, cover both for metaphysical things and because the sun wants to kill you.
Again, science. I've seen too much of that happening with we've got some things like that as well. We almost set something on fire last year because of the same thing from binoculars. I think it was somebody put their glasses down. Yeah. Because as a glasses wearer, also definitely keep those in there. Yeah. But like,
also just bring a glasses case just to keep the dust and stuff off of them when they're off your face is a good idea.
Oh yeah, and along that same mark, as someone who brings lots of expensive lenses to Wasteland, a can of like computer canned air can go a long way because you don't want to wipe your glasses with a cloth first. You need to air them first. And then like brush them lightly and then wipe them down.
Or you're just going to embed scratches in your very expensive pieces of glass.
Exactly.
And you don't want that.
Yeah. No, I did that to the loop on my camera a couple years ago. I just tried to wipe it out real quick. And it's I think it sells for $400. That became garbage like instantly.
Oh, no.
So canned air goes a long way. It sure was. Yep. And it's a lesson I will not make twice.
Yeah. That's
so speaking of things becoming garbage.
Nice.
Let's talk about trash. Things do get trashy in the wastes. Try not to let it spread in the waste, though. Please keep your shit contained. If you bring it onto the site, please take it with you. That includes zip tie-ins, cigarette butts, fake barbed wire pieces, baling wire that you might be using. Which please don't. It ends up buried in the dirt. You never find it again, and then someone finds it later in a bad way.
Screws, tacks, tape. All of it.
Bottle caps. If you have like a table where you put your tchotchkes on, just make sure that things are staying on there.
Bring a magnet rake. They're like $15, $20, and they make a ton of difference when you're cleaning up. Wasteland in the past few years has offered a trash drop-off place. But keep in mind, you're going to be paid for it. And it's like $5 a bag.
$5
it is worth every single penny. I was so excited.
I highly suggest you do not send your shortest people on trash duty. As a vertically challenged human being, I have had to do some interesting shot putting to get my garbage up into the dumpster when they had the doors closed.
Bags get
like
heavy.
Yeet. Crap, I missed.
Okay, try again.
Yeet.
And most bags can only handle so many throws before they just pop.
have your tallest bastards on trash duty, please.
Yeah.
I think there's also on the website rules about what is in there and like if you're double bagging it and things like that. They want you to double bag it.
But if you're also doing trash collection, and if you're drinkers, let's be honest, people drink in Wasteland. So having recycling collection is great because then you can make some of your money back after the event.
Right.
Yep.
Definitely.
So separate out your glass and your aluminum. If you are bringing glass, please don't shatter it, because then I'm going to yell at you and make you pick up all of your little pieces of glass that you've left behind.
Yeah. And on that same note, if your favorite beer or cocktail of choice comes in a can, go for the can because they're squishable. Yes. They take up much less space, completely recyclable. Fun. And it is fun. Versus glass, which takes up a lot of space. Of course, plastic bottles, those can squash down as well. And again, recyclable. Although you're probably not going to be able to do the automated machines because those need to read the labels. Yes. But there are tons of recycling places that will take your squash
by the
things.
Pound and you can get your CRVs back for that if you're in state, of course. I don't think it's Nevada or Arizona that doesn't have the program, but either way.
And one last note on... go ahead.
I was just going to ask, for those who have to drive for really, really, really long distances and don't necessarily live locally, is there a close place to do that recycling? Like, is there something in California City or relatively close? I do believe
there is a recycling place in California City, but don't quote me on it because I would have to do a Google.
The Google will answer your questions.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah. But the other thing is California City, of course, gets inundated with our garbage every year. Don't plan on dumping it at some random...
Don't do that.
Garbage.
Don't do that.
In town. There are places that you can throw your garbage. Campgrounds will sometimes allow you to, pay them a couple bucks to use their garbage.
And a lot of I think has a dumpster. Also, if you're doing an RV dump, like we talked about in the last episode, like you could do it all one-stop shopping. But yeah, on trash, I think that's just about it. It's just being really mindful about stuff. So if you're bringing like cup of noodles per se, take the plastic off of that and then pack it. So then you're not throwing away plastic when you get on site.
Yeah, cereal, you can take the bag outside of the box.
And then it packs flat against other stuff.
Yeah.
Things like that.
You can kind of pre-garbage before you get there, and it makes a big difference. And then another thing we do with the Dukes of the Nuke is we, one of the rules of being in our tribe is everybody takes a bag with them, no matter what car you're driving.
In many tribes, so it's good policy.
Yeah, because we have our own garbage that we make personally, but then we also have our tribe garbage, and that actually adds up because if people leave cans and stuff in our camp, we're picking that up and putting it in bags the next morning.
Infuriating.
Oh, it's maddening, but it's just part of it in a way.
Yeah.
But if
people get forgetful, as we said, neurospicy, like squirrel shiny, and they left their shit.
Yeah, and the best of us can be guilty of that for sure. And so, we always have, a pile of garbage that is group garbage. And so everyone has to take a bag. And that means, if you're driving your sedan, be prepared to have some space. Bags. Yeah. Save some space when you pack because you'll be taking some garbage with you.
Which, too, if you're having a forward-facing camp and doing a public-facing camp with something to offer, bring a big box or a yellow top bin, something like that, have it set out for when people leave stuff.
Lost and found kind of thing?
A lost and found kind of thing, because event doesn't really have one.
Gotcha.
So I'm retracing my steps and I was here last, and then they can find their stuff again.
That's a good idea. So, you clean your camp, but what about cleaning yourself? I feel like that's going to be one of the most important things that you do. What's your best tips and tricks for that?
All right. The first thing I'm going to say is be okay with being a little gross, because by day 5, we're all a little gross.
That was not the advice I was expecting, but it is exactly the perfect advice. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sweaty hugs. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of...
A little manky.
A little bit of body odor. Yeah. And you just got to kind of be okay with it.
Yeah. But there's things you can do to mitigate that. Back in the past, people would say baby wipes, which are great. I found better product.
Ooh.
They're called adult cleansing wipes. They're for like people who are like wheelchair bound and things like that. So their caretakers can bathe them without fully dunking them.
Right.
So they're big washcloth size and they're more durable, so you can get more surface.
Oh, like nurse, I'm ready for my sponge bath.
If that's what you want to role play.
Anybody comes at me like that, I'm just gonna be like, listen, no.
That's when you get your spray ball and just no.
That'll get you clean.
But one thing I've always done is at the dollar store, I'll get like a small bin or something like that and put water in that, just enough, and a cheapy washcloth and some ivory soap, and just give myself a little bath in all the stinky places.
I've heard it called a horse bath.
A horse bath, a homeless bath,
Yeah. But it's so true. And just that little bit of like washing and rinsing, especially the spots that don't feel great.
Especially right before you go to sleep, is really lovely.
Yeah.
Because you've got those layers of sand and dust and sunscreen on you that you're just like, I'm crunchy.
My first year, I brought a camp shower because I'm very prissy like that. And so while I was having these wonderful, daylight heated showers, my buddy JD, he just brought a simple bowl and a washcloth, and all he would do is just rinse his face every day, and it made a big difference.
It does. It makes all the difference.
The temptation that I have for the other side of me to go aggressively historical information about this.
Yes.
But I'm going to shove it deep down, but just know
people
that is also
a lot less in the past.
It's an acceptable way to bathe.
Yes.
But just spot cleaning.
Spot cleaning is great. But also, please, for everyone's sake, this is not an anime convention. Please wear deodorant.
Wow, the shade of it all.
Yeah.
Tell me
and
I'm
it
wrong.
is interesting. So if you're not used to the desert, you don't sweat like you do on the east or north. It kind of dries right away, which is also something to be aware of, because you'll be like, I'm not even hot. I'm not even sweating. You are hot. You are sweating, but it's just evaporating instantly.
So fast. Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, it's a dry heat. Let me tell you, as somebody who lives where it is moist for like half of the year, that dry heat is crisp. It's good stuff.
We are in monsoon right now in Southern California, and I will take dry over there's water in my air every day.
100%. Yep.
Oh, I want you to come out here so bad.
I've been to Louisiana. That was enough.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's worse. That's so much worse than Tennessee.
Yeah. The South in the summer is brutal. There's a reason why Mardi Gras is in the spring.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, aside from just, top and tails washing up, those of us with longer hair, you might find getting a hair wash by like day 4. Make sure you have enough water set aside to do something like that, where you can give yourself a good, scalp scratching head washing, and just some real simple, lightweight shampoo or something to get the grit out. I mean, can make miles of a difference.
Sulfate-free shampoo.
Yeah,
I will say, use a sulfate-free shampoo.
Some people will barter showers at the local hotel. I've seen that happen. So
yeah, and some tribes will rent a room for the entire tribe and kind of take turns going into town and having a good rinse. Yeah. But again, for some people, you absolutely need it, especially if you're there for build and cleanup and all that. It's just nice to get a reset. If you're there for
the long duration, it makes a big difference.
But it can break that immersion that we've built up. So yeah, do it at your own peril of losing storyline.
Yes. But other things other than just keeping clean, I mean, if you've got thunder thighs like myself, you might want some chafing cream, especially for wearing some shorty shorts. Gets a little annoyed after a while.
And as someone with pierced nipples, depending on what kind of like costume pieces you're wearing, like t-shirts are great for me. But if you're wearing, if I try to put on like some fishnets or something, suddenly, oh God. Or if I put on a military jacket with no shirt underneath. I actually wore pasties for a day last year because
pasties,
of that.
Pasties, body tape are great. Also basic stuff like sunscreen that you like. Everybody, I just go with the spray stuff, but some people want like the Aveeno, specifically this or that because skin conditions. Chapstick, no brand necessary. SPF for your lips because I've gotten many a cold sore from getting sunburned.
Your what am I trying to say? Your immune system is going to be in hyper alert.
Yes, absolutely.
Automatically. And so everything's heightened. And so, if you're going to fight anything or anything like that, it's going to be like kind of amplified in a way. So just be prepared for all the things.
And if you're prone to the lip herp, there's these cold sore patches that are lovely out here because they keep the grit and the sweat out of it and allows it to still stay moist so it doesn't crack and bleed on you.
Right.
So those are great and they're very cheap.
And thank you for being blisters. Open about stuff like that because it's something that a lot of people like. A lot of us have these issues, and it's something we have to talk about because it's a reality of being out there.
And of course, if you're having a flare, like don't go and eating someone else's junk. It's a good idea.
Wait, are you saying food or junk?
I'm meaning down below the pants line.
That kind of junk.
That kind of junk. Yeah, you don't want to spread things around.
Your normal
without meaning to.
Sex education still applies, even though we're at a party.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
And consent is always key, of course.
Yes.
You might find,
but like, those are really good, like creature comfort items that people don't think about too.
Also, if
chapstick.
You might find the hum of generators and stuff when you're trying to sleep to be too much. So some earplugs, an eye mask. Those can help, especially as your brain does that half awake, half asleep thing in unfamiliar spaces. Until you get used to it, that can help you to wind down. Melatonin gummies, probably not gummies because they'll turn into one big Cronenberg creature. Of course,
just take a bite out of it. Not too big of a bite, or you see the Hat Man.
Yes, don't see the Hat Man. Great meme. Of course, also any medications you take on the daily, you're going to need out there. So that's your birth control pills. You don't want to get out of sync with those. Stuff if you have immune system boosters that you require. If you need a heartburn pill every day. I mean, as we're all getting a little bit older, these are all things we're dealing with.
Yeah, you got to kind of consider all the things.
You need all of those little things that also you don't realize that you need them.
A second gen antihistamine, because you might find that the sagebrush doesn't agree with your system that grows out here. So not a Benadryl, because then you'll go see the Hat Man. But something like a Zyrtec, a Claritin, something like that, that's not going to make you sleepy.
Yeah, those are all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You realize how much you need it as you do this, especially, you learn it. You don't want to learn it the hard way doing it multiple years. That's why this guide is impeccable and like probably one of the most important creature comforts that a good portion of the event doesn't really think about are like feminine hygiene products.
For sure.
You have the parts that require that. That's going to be one of the most important things you need. From personal experience, I can tell you it is not pleasant for all the things, and it's a pretty big list. What tips do you have?
Well, like the cards,
that fun time,
the Cards Against Humanity card. Why am I sticky? Anybody who has female parts and has bled unexpectedly gets sticky. So one of the newer things that I've seen are travel bidets that I saw pictures. So like that's a double purpose thing to buy now. So you can get the front.
I'm going to be Amazoning that immediately.
Yeah, you can get the front and the back, and then you're nice and clean. So
Adept's literally Googling right now.
For sure, yeah.
I literally just looked at my phone and I was like,
I just saw that posted on Central like this week, and I'm like, oh, hell yes.
Bidets got ridiculously popular during COVID.
Yes.
It was like everyone was getting a bidet.
Yeah. My old recommendation was getting like a ketchup squirty bottle and doing the same thing.
Oh, heck yeah.
So you can flush everything out.
Okay, yeah. I gotcha.
But,
I see what you're picking up.
If there's a proper tool, get the proper tool.
If you're going to go that route, maybe buy like a fresh one and not like one that actually.
No. I was talking about like the dollar store set that's like a ketchup and mustard that are empty. Yeah, don't be squirting sugary things up into the hoo-has. Yeah.
I was going to say there's a few things we need to talk about here because.
Yeah.
I get wanting to be in theme, but there is a limit.
Yeah, there's a limit. So if you're a pad person or even a tampon person, don't dispose of those in the Portos. Even though it came out of you, technically speaking, it doesn't need to go in the Porto.
They will find you and they will kill you.
Yes. So bringing like Ziploc bags, like the really thick ones, so you can put your used items in there, so then it's not being odorous over the next few days, and you can just kind of tuck that down in your trash. Out of sight, out of mind.
Isn't there somebody, was it you? I don't remember who it was that usually does a drive of like feminine hygiene products. Like they make pre-made packages.
That has changed hands over the years. I believe it's now one of the medical folk, but don't quote me on this. But there have been those in the past that just have little like ant flow, unexpected visitor packs.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. But
that's the worst place.
She shows up.
It's true.
And there was
can't always predict it.
There was a drive last year where certain tribes that would have some products available would have a symbol that they would hang up, and I believe it was a kind of like a water droplet, but it was red with a shark.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's something you can look out for too. But generally, Wastelanders help Wastelanders, so you can kind of ask around.
But also keep in mind, because you're moving more than you probably do at your office job and things like that, movement is going to help the cramps, but it also might make you flow a little bit more than you usually do. So account for extra product of whatever flavor you use and change it more often, because nobody likes a lot of moisture in that area when you're walking a lot.
No, not that kind. No.
Hey, all you desert dwellers. The Dukes of the Nuke have been hard at work cleaning their rifles and polishing their chest ornaments and are in need of some R&R. But there's no rest and relaxation for these soldiers of fortune. Instead, they're getting risque and ravishing, raunchy and racy, and just a little radioactive. Because, these shots are spicy. These rambunctious rascals are sure to leave you feeling randy and ready with some of their most revealing private portraits ever. The Dukes After Dark 2023-24 calendars are available now on our Kickstarter, but are in limited supply, so order yours today and we'll keep our butt stocks tight and our firing pins cocked. See you in the wastes.
All right, so now that we lost all the guys out there, we're going to talk about sexy time, but we're going to talk about it in such a way that it's not going to help.
Sex Ed 101.
Yeah, even though it's sexy time, it's not. It's not going to get better yet, guys.
No.
That's the moisture you do want.
That is,
though.
So we're going to segue right into sexy time.
We should have done this the other way around.
We should have. We did gross first and then the fun stuff.
Listen, it's all natural.
It's all life.
We can't help it.
Yep.
You need one for the other. So keep in mind that the stress of the environment, you might not be able to get the juices going as you want them to. So a little KY jelly goes a long way. It happens. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel self-conscious about it. You're in a stress environment.
Also, it's so dry. If you're not used to that dry environment, I can guarantee it is sucking all of the moisture out of you. It's awful. Nobody wants chafing out there.
No.
0 out of 10.
And people do fuck out here. They
what?
do.
No.
They do.
That sounds like a lie. I don't think that's true.
They do. So even if you don't usually wear a condom, if you're having sex with the other person, even if you have sex with them all the time and you have a fully, no tools relationship, wrap it up anyway, because the different environment, you're introducing more yeast, you're introducing other things, and, it could be a bad time when you get home as things have taken up residency.
No.
So I told you guys this wasn't going to be as sexy as you thought. But
yeah, we're not talking about positions here. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
So if you also get UTIs on the regular, pregame with some cranberry supplements, cranberry juice and stuff like that, and really flush yourself out beforehand can make a big difference, especially with, wearing tighter clothes than you might be used to and stuff like that in your costume because you want to flaunt what you got.
I found a second use for that bidet.
Hey.
Oh, hello. Yep. Yep.
That might also come in handy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring toys, bring condoms for those. Make sure you're using the right lubes so you don't break anything down unnecessarily.
Nobody wants foreign bodies in there unless like it's the right one.
And toy cleaner.
We don't want small.
And then those big baby wipes that I talked about before, those come in handy afterward for a cleanup crew. Genius. And of course,
so much stuff on my Amazon wish list right now just from this conversation.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Now's the time to order that stuff. And of course, enthusiastic consent is always the most important thing. You know, checking with that other person. Do you want this? Be everybody on the same page is so, so important. We're all adults here. Let's act like it.
And you say enthusiastic because sometimes consent's not enough, especially if we've all been drinking or if you're imbibing in some other substances.
Or if they're, I'm not sure. Like, that's not enthusiastic. Enthusiastic
I
is
guess
like,
is not yes.
Let's fuck.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh my God.
All right, cool. So
I've given everyone nightmares thinking about that.
Definitely. But yeah, let's go into makeup because guys and girls all wear makeup there. So this is something that's a little bit for everybody.
Sure. It's a pretty broad category. Like if you're wanting to do like airbrush effects and you want to have cool scars and prosthetics and things like that, leave that stuff to the professionals and don't try to do it yourself too much out here. You're sweating a lot. You know, you're going to get gritty from sunscreen and it's just going to be a lot rougher. But stuff like 24-hour creams, pencils, pens, make it smudgy. The theatrical stuff is always great because it's been formulated for long wear and the lights and things like that.
I know that the Body Shop does a lot of stuff too. If you need something in particular, they're pretty good about doing it. And I know they have their favorite paints and things like that.
Their slots do fill up though, so keep that in mind. If you had your heart set on it, like you might not get a space.
Yeah, I think over the last few years they've been appointment only. Yeah, and barter is great. They don't accept cash payments. It has to be barter.
Yeah,
and anything's cool. Yeah, bring them something cool. But also they've got hair specialists, makeup specialists, and sometimes they've had people that can kind of help with your costume a little bit, though I think that's been less so in the later years.
Yeah. If you need help with that, just come find me at the Farlander camp.
There you go.
I got you.
There's so many camps that will help you with your costuming needs.
Like the restorationist will help get you dirty. But yeah, a lot of tribes will, throw some extra accessories at you or help you get dirty real quick. Because we've got the supplies, I promise. Because a lot of us are finishing up our costumes last minute.
Bad planning.
So, Adept, I couldn't help but notice that you wear glasses. So what do you do for those out there?
So I actually get that question from a lot of people because, what's funny too is at Wasteland, how many people do you think have actually seen my eyes at Wasteland? Almost none. I wear contacts when I go. I use dailies. Now, I'm going to suggest for contact wearers, just from my personal experience, if you have the capability to do dailies, do. Because having to try to clean them and put them back in the case with all that sand, your hands are disgusting. I promise you. You're just do the dailies, take them out, throw them away. But also, the reason most people don't see my eyes at Wasteland is because I wear goggles all the time. They're tinted almost black, so you kind of just become my shtick. Yep. But it's a twofer. I don't have to wear sunglasses because if you're photosensitive, like if I have to squint for too long, I will get extremely terrible headaches. But also, they do act as protecting my eyes. And weirdly, this is something I discovered my first year. They keep the moisture in. I know. It seems
that's
ridiculous.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
So you don't get dry eye.
My eyes tend to get dry. Yeah, because it's all the wind. And again, the air is sucking all of the moisture out.
Fascinating. And humans can acclimate to heat faster than cold. But when we're talking about a 5-day festival, it's not that fast. Yeah.
It's rough.
It's true. But if you can't wear contacts, then waste out your glasses. I don't know. I've got big feelings about eyewear.
There are some, and if you guys are listening to this and you want to go this route, you're going to do it really fast. But like Zenni and a few other eyeglass manufacturers actually have prescription goggles that you can buy And I did that for a couple of years. Pay the extra for whatever you got to do to get like the right prescription.
Yeah. The photo coding.
Yeah. Get all the coatings, get all the things because it's worth it. But yeah, it was actually not last year, but the year before I got LASIK right before the festival because I was like, I am not dealing with this anymore.
So smart. I would kill to get LASIK. I'm not kidding. As a lifelong glasses wearer, in dealing with contacts and things and any historical thing that I do, anything that I do where I can't wear my super modern yet super adorable pink glasses, I'm like, I don't want to think about it anymore. Just shoot me in the eye with the lasers. I don't even care anymore.
Yep, it made a big difference.
Yeah, do recommend.
And then definitely consider if you have prescription anything, you're probably gonna want some kind of shades during the day or goggles. But then at night, you need to not have that. So my prescription goggles were shaded, and at night I would go back to my regular glasses. And by the way, if you do wear glasses, that's kind of one of the things that you can get away with your costume without necessarily being in theme. For the most part, people can overlook that. But if you're going to wear sunglasses, do a little something to theme them out.
Please.
Dirty the edges. Don't come in with drugstore aviators because they just look too clean.
Yeah, take one of the arms and wrap some. That's another story for another time.
Yeah,
getting in costuming,
a little bit of cloth, a little bit of string, and a touch of paint will make a big difference. Yeah.
But by that same token, too, what you had mentioned about the evening, too, is, again, if you're going to keep your contacts in, because I'm such a vain bitch that I'm going to keep them in, I have secondary either yellow, which they're gorgeous, or clear goggles to, again, protect my eyes. Because I feel like it gets worse at night. The dust really gets kicked up, and I feel like it's 10 times worse. So protect them eyeballs. You don't want to get, you don't want to get your eyes flushed at medical, and the friend that you just made who doesn't know your real name has to learn your real name. That's embarrassing.
Can confirm. I got my eye scratched at Neo, and Sawbones had to flush me out, and that was super embarrassing. I'm like, me of all fucking people, really?
TK
was one of the first people to learn my real name.
It's Bob, right?
Shout out TK.
Yeah,
it's totally Bob.
At the same time, don't be shy, because if you have something, go to medical, go to security.
If you're feeling funky and you're just not right, just go get checked out.
Yeah, Wasteland is a very no judgment space, but especially
if you took something, just let them know what you took. They don't really give a shit.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go into some wildlife, because it is the desert, and there are some living things there.
All right. Do we want to start with the creepy crawlies or the shellbacks?
Oh boy. Start with the creepy crawlies, because we're more likely to run into some creepy crawlies.
All right. We do have scorpions out here, and September falls right at the heart of tarantula mating season. So if you see a tarantula creeping, crawling around, he's looking for spider booty. That's a male, and he's looking to tap it.
Nice.
Oh God.
So you can actually,
nightmares just came true.
Yeah, but
I had someone point one out to me one time, but for the most part, I don't think I've ever actually seen one other than someone being like, there is one right there. And they are blacklight reactive.
They are. So are the scorpions. So if you want to have some fun in the night, you can go hunting for buggies.
Yeah.
One thing for sure, if you leave your boots outside your tent, shake out your boots before you put them on. Scorpion stings do not feel good. They're worse than bees.
And as much as they give you the heebie-jeebies, though,
they don't give a shit about
anything with more than 4 legs, and I'm not having a great time. I don't care how grossed out you are. Leave them alone.
Right.
And don't be like, oh God, a scorpion, and stomp it. Right. Because that's not cool.
And speaking of the tarantulas, because they're out and about and they're looking for love, the tarantula hawks also come out. If you played Fallout New Vegas, Cazadors.
I've never played a single Fallout game. I'm sorry, I'm a fake fan.
It's one of the enemies in the game, and it's this big wasp. The real ones have this blue-black body and orange wings. They are very distinctive.
Are you talking about the bloatfly?
No, I'm talking about the Cazador.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that.
The big angry flying ant-looking thing.
Huh. Oh, funny. Okay.
But they lay their eggs in tarantulas.
Oh God, no.
But if you see one and it lands on you, please do not smack it, because you will regret your life.
Oh.
They have one of the most painful stings of all the creatures in California. So just like gently shoo it away.
Good note.
There's a YouTube video of a guy getting stung by one, and he hated his life.
Oh yeah, he kind of did it on purpose, right?
He did. He pissed it off and stung himself with it, and went like, "This was a mistake."
I regret my whole life.
I regret my decisions.
Yeah.
Okay. If you do see a tortoise, it's unlikely because of all the noise. But if you see one, don't touch it. Go get somebody at command center right away. They're endangered species. You don't know what you're doing. You can kill the poor thing. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the advice for every living thing out there is leave it alone.
Leave it alone. It's great advice.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say we do, and I know some people bring out like ant spray and murder the ant colonies.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Please.
No.
Don't do that. No. For us, we just like to leave a little tribute.
Yes.
Like just a little scrap of food away from camp, not near someone else's camp, but between camps.
Yes.
And they'll actually involve themselves with that and leave the rest of your camp alone.
There's 3 kinds of ants that you're going to see out here. There's the really big ones that are kind of purple colored. Those are bitches, and they bite really, really hard. If you end up camped next to those, get the fuck away.
The elusive Mojave bitch ant.
Yes.
Which is also my nickname.
If only we could all be so lucky to have such a great name. Then there's smaller black ants. They love plant materials, so like sunflower seeds and stuff like that. They will happily take your tributes. And then there's red and black ants, and they also bite very hard.
Yeah, the little fire ants. Ugh.
Yes, so stay away from those. So just look at what color they are. You know, black guys are good, purple guys suck, red ones suck.
Yeah, and for that matter, when you start staking things down, or if you're parking your vehicle, take a quick look around and make sure you're not going right on top of an anthill. Because if you park or stake into an anthill,
or a kangaroo rat hole, you could twist an ankle in a kangaroo rat hole, which they're perfectly harmless and they're super adorable. They're little bouncy
so
mice.
So oh my god, I love them. I love them.
So don't be afraid.
I mean,
of them.
they while cute, not a great pet. But
no, they're not great.
I also don't think pets are not going to be a thing here either.
No, do not bring your pet. Even your pet snake, your pet wallaby, you know, whatever. Unless you've been cleared by staff to bring an ADA animal, don't do it.
Yeah, you might see.
That's a hard no on the pets.
Might see a couple dogs out there. Those are working dogs or staff dogs where the staff has been there for weeks and they will continue being there for weeks.
Yeah, they've been cleared and have permission and they're known entities.
Yeah, and just don't. It's not worth it to sneak in an animal or anything like that because it's not a great environment for most pets regardless.
Yeah, no, it's super harsh out here.
But yeah, there's also like coyotes and foxes, I think, right?
There are coyotes
for the most part, they're going to leave
here.
us alone because they're going to be driven away by the noise and we probably won't see them.
Yeah.
Most everything is, I find. I don't think I've ever seen anything but the little lizards. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. If you hear the distinctive sound,
oh jeez,
I know that sound.
Fucking stop.
Yeah.
That's a bad sound.
Don't move any further and find the snake.
Yeah. Find the snake.
That
move
sound
away.
is either a Western Diamondback or a Mojave Green, both super deadly, very poisonous, and very expensive to have antitoxin stabbed into you. So stop.
And I might be wrong here, and correct me if I am wrong, but for the most part, those rattlesnakes, they are not really aggressive until you step on them, touch them, get involved with them.
If you get within their personal bubble, they're going to let you know, hey, you're too big to eat. Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. And last year, I remember security was actually giving us a warning because they were spotting them quite a bit. But again, I don't think we had any real spottings during the event. I think once again, like once people get there, they kind of
don't
go
usually
away.
like the noise. But, you know, it's just good to have in the back of your head if you hear rattling to stop what you're doing and look.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially like under your car where it's shady and stuff like that. Something might take up residence. So just be careful. Yeah. We're here visiting their house.
Yeah. It's nobody wants to poke around with those. So all animules aside,
animules. I don't know why that's so funny.
Feel free to use that. Give me no credit. Listen, I will be the one to make a strange word every time. There's the animals and then there's the human animals that we sometimes encounter there. And One of the cool things, though, about the people at Wasteland that I really enjoy, and everybody gets a little something different out of Wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I, in particular, I guess could fall into the quote-unquote LARP camp, even though I despise that word with every fiber of my being.
You don't like live-action roleplay?
Coming from a living history background, we call it first-person interpreting. There is literally no difference. But so whenever I use the phrase first person, it usually just kind of means LARPing a little bit. But there are some people at Wasteland who do enjoy that, myself included. I mean, I have a character. I go out there and I do things in character. What are your tips for interacting with those sorts of people? I have my own, but I'm curious to know somebody who's been there a little bit longer than me, by a year, whatever. I mean, Makeshift has been there the longest of all of us. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to know what you guys' kind of feelings and tricks and things like that for that situation, your experience and what you would pass on to other people.
Well, for me, just this past year, even though I've had my Wasteland name for years now, I broke up the Muse part to be MUSE with periods as an acronym for the Mobile Unit for Survival Education. Because I often feel like, again, going back to Fallout, I feel like a synth a lot of the time. I don't often fit in with people very well. So I feel like an AI in a meat suit. So
just pile it in that meat suit.
Just pile in the meat suit, going out and studying the humans and teaching them to stay in the shade and drink water and eat pickles. Yes.
So do you find that you like kind of the more interactive part with people, their characters, or do you kind of fall into the camp where you're just like, I'm just kind of going to hang out, you do you, but I don't really do that myself?
I've never really personally been included in any of the LARP stuff, so I have no solid point of perspective for it.
Yeah, for me, it's actually, the last few years I've played more than ever because I've been delegating a lot more, but also getting more involved with the tribe, which has been great. But yeah, I think, LARP at Wasteland is really fun because it's very low expectation. You can jump in, you can jump out. One of my favorite interactions was City Buster talking to War Chief Grimm, and this was their first interaction at Wasteland, and as they left it the year before, they were butting heads. They were not getting along. And so City Buster was inviting Grimm to his wedding, and Grimm was saying, no, I'm not going to go to your wedding until we work out this business stuff, blah, blah, blah. Get out of my camp. I don't want to see you. And then City Buster took 2 steps in character, like, okay, fine, I'll talk to you later. And then stopped, turned around, and they greeted each other as human beings, not in character, with big hugs and how you doing.
I love that.
And for me, that's what Wasteland LARP is we do these micro scenes, but then we're just hanging out. And you'll see, there's some big planned LARP, especially coming out of the slums. There's been a lot of large scale LARP elements happening. And, those, they might stay in character a little bit longer. And what you'll notice is like 2 tribes might go head to head, and one person will know the story from each of them. They'll run the scene and everyone else will just kind of agree with what their leader says. So you get kind of like those. Ending. Exactly. So you can kind of like,
get this improv
LARP without having to do a ton of work for it, which is fantastic. And you can always like go in and out. Yeah. So what do we call it? Like LARP light or something like that?
Yeah. LARP light.
LARP
yeah.
light.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people too call it shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans is often the shorthand.
Shenanigans, yeah.
Like we're going off for shenanigans means like we got a storyline thing we're going off to do.
We got a thing to do.
Definitely.
And some camps and some tribes, like the Farlanders, for example, we are super into the quote unquote immersive experience. Like Bridger, my husband, put it the best. He was like, I'm not driving 3 days across the country to this amazing immersive environment to not play. And I'm just like, legit. Yeah. So, you'll see Bridger, and Bridger is very much Bridger, and he is very much in character. And, but it's like, there's a way that you can adapt doing first person to various people. You can usually tell with different people, like who is into it and who is really not into it. And you just kind of have to adjust from there. But on that same note, this is coming from an experience I had in 19, whatever was the year we put the helicopter on top of the Nova. If a member of staff, like big staff, says to you, not right now, don't keep doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Also, keep in mind that we are playing at the event. So don't actually become a quote unquote raider and start breaking into people's things and being an absolute asshole and things like that, because that's a quick ride out of the event.
That's right. That was something I meant to bring up earlier when we were talking about security, and you actually have this in the guide, is, keep your stuff locked up when possible, out of sight, because, this does not happen often, but we did have one character.
Opportunity happens.
We had this one character years ago that decided he was a thief and he would steal things, and that was his character, which is a terrible do it character. Because there are stealable items. But unless someone tells you, you may steal this.
Unless they're marked items, which they usually are.
They are.
Don't fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't move things around. Some things are in play. And when you get there, just talk to people and you'll figure out exactly what it means. And you can always come up to the Dukes. I will literally show you our stealable item and be like, but don't steal it.
And then
whatever you do. Yeah.
I can go get more coffee.
Exactly. But I think that was it. Yeah. Okay. We're caught back up.
And if you think that's quote unquote funny to do, you're not funny, and you're going to make people a lot really upset with you.
Yeah, that the thief is permanently banned from Wasteland, just so if in case anyone was wondering.
He lived to be a bad example, didn't he?
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap up LARP, Wasteland is kind of between an all-out LARP where you're in character the whole week and like a Renaissance fair where some people are in character and other people aren't, but it is immersive, so everyone has to wear a costume, whether you're going to play a character or not. So, let's talk about what makes a good costume versus maybe not such a good costume.
Okay, if your first thought is Wasteland X, be that Barbie or Barney or Teletubbies or whatever it might be, that's a bad place to start.
That's actually great, yeah.
A better place to start is, okay, this person is X. So this person's a raider. This person's a storyteller. This person's a merchant. This person is just a survivor. And go with that core nugget and then start building off of that. Because if someone can look at you and tell what you're doing, then you've succeeded.
Yeah, it's not so much cosplay as we are in a real post-apocalypse city, and you have to be somewhat utilitarian.
Yeah.
I feel like too, which is very funny, if you want to kind of fuse in the LARPing aspect of this too, if you think about the quote unquote character that you're doing, it helps you to figure out what you're going to wear.
Absolutely.
How do you interact with this environment will definitely guide you in kind of the direction of what clothing, what costume, and how your aesthetic is going to be, as it were.
100%. But also think about practicalities. Like, you have to shit in a closet.
You don't want to wear 16 belts like some dumb bitch at this chat.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to wear pleather pants that you have to peel off to use the restroom.
Like an orange.
Yep.
You don't want a cape that can drip into the blue and then you have to throw it away forever.
Jumpsuits and unitards.
I feel like the Farlanders are all being called out right now, like aggressively.
You left the door open. So things like that. So that element of practicality. And I tell people all the time, it's like, okay, put on all your gear and then go into the smallest closet in your house and see if you can take off your pants.
Yep. Well done.
Without touching the floor.
Without touching the floor or touching the walls or anything. You have to just, if you can do that.
I will say too, I feel like if you get into this hobby and you did some like Renfer or living history, you've got an edge on people.
Yeah, definitely.
Natural fibers, as many natural fibers as you can Linen possibly infuse.
Here.
Oh, it's
Cotton
the best
is
material
wonderful.
in the world.
Wool is
It's not bad
cheapy.
if you use a tropical weight. Avoid silk.
Avoid silk. Silk is very insulating. But also like have really good boots and not like buy them a month before. Like don't buy them now and start wearing them in. You need to have bought them in the spring and worn them.
Insoles if you need them, break them in a little bit if you need to.
Cannot, as a heavier person, I cannot undermine having memory foam insoles in my boots. Nice. And I have an extra pair if I actually squish all the life out of these ones, even though they're fresh. Having extra ones to just slip in, just is good. Also, rotating out shoes. So have your walking boots, have a pair of tennis shoes, have a pair of camp slippers.
Yeah, like some thong sandals are great for
something
late
so
night
your
runs to
feet
the
can
Porto.
swell up and relax and stuff. So then you can go on to the next
swell.
next day.
Yeah, I'll tend to do build in like an old pair of sneakers, and then I'll wear boots for the event, and then I'll switch back to sneakers at the end.
Right.
And then definitely sandals for like when you're waking up in the morning, before we're kind of like on,
right,
if that makes sense, while you're just like getting breakfast, before the crowds really come to the city. You can sometimes I'll even walk around barefoot just to like breathe a little bit.
Yeah, just keep in mind that borax in the sand,
yes, it's a terrible idea.
Will dry out your feet, so make sure you bring some lotion or something to hydrate
Definitely.
your feet.
Yeah, but oh, go ahead.
You'll hear some people say that blue jeans are illegal at the event, and they're not. It's just a harder place to start because if you've ever seen a color wheel, blue and yellow of the desert are exact opposites. So blue is going to pop, 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 and just look so out of place. So get brown denim, get green denim, get gray denim, something else that's not blue, and it's much easier.
Yeah, and Goodwill, honestly, is your best friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it is so easy to make costumes for Wasteland. It's the easiest thing I've ever had to make a costume for, and I've made all sorts of costumes. Wasteland is the best. It's surprisingly freeing, but honestly, you can go and cheap, and you can go pretty simple and still be okay. Just make sure your things are weathered, make sure they look like they've been worn, and look at other people, look at Instagrams, look at the website, look at photographs, and get your inspiration
and
that way.
If you're not sure where to go, get yourself some cargo shorts and a neutral colored shirt. And guess what? You're Wasteland Basic, and the owner of the place lived in Wasteland Basic all this time. So if it's okay with him, it's okay for you.
Yeah, but a little bit of like spray glue, like headliner glue, and some real dirt from your backyard can add a lot of texture.
Oh, yeah.
Scratching your things with some sandpaper or even just rubbing them on concrete can help distress them really quickly. One thing I do recommend, though, is like, all right, so a lot of people will just start cutting holes randomly in a t-shirt. It never looks good. Be really purposeful with where you wear out. Like do the V-neck on your shirt, like wear that out. Wear your sleeves,
cut off the top button of a button up.
Yeah.
Plus
where you would see wear. And I'm trying not. I'm keeping it in because this is a subject
we could do a whole
that
episode on this.
I could go ham on this.
One thing I love to do is put on the pants that you're going to Wasteland out and put paint on your hands. And then where do you wipe that off on your pants?
Oh, yeah. Just wipe it around. I like to do a lot of my building in my costume because naturally you're going to have like some paint. You're going to have a lot of wear and tear that happens while you're wearing it. And it does add some realistic, like real world wear to it. And then if you have anything that's bright, like whites or grays, a coffee bath can
super
add a lot of color really quick.
A little squirt of like black paint in there. Works
and just swirl it around. Yep. Awesome. And there are some really great costume tutorials online. I've got some on the Apocalypse Post, especially like last minute ones, because that's what I'm special at. I don't do the really good costumes. I do the last minute ones. But also check out Nuclear Snail on YouTube. He's got some really great tutorials.
I was also going to plug my own group, the Wasteland Craft Masters and Makers group. We have a great bunch of people there to help you really problem solve things.
And also feel free to message me if you need inspiration or ideas or how-tos.
Oh, your inbox is coming. Here it goes.
I'm so ready for it. It's my jam-a-lamb.
Awesome. All right. So we're almost done with the list, but there's still a lot more to go through. So let's talk about nudity and photography at Wasteland. First off, as part of the official photo video group, there are lots of cameras at Wasteland. So just be aware of that. Our rule on the professional side, and everyone that does bring their cell phone around to take pictures should follow the same rule, is get consent if anyone is not fully covered. And with the same token, if someone is doing like a performance, like burlesque and whatnot, you're pretty much free to shoot that because they are performing. So it's not like Burning Man where it's consent no matter what. It's a bit more of a nuanced thing. Yeah.
Yes.
If someone's performing, take shots because they're probably going to love you for taking those shots.
And if you're not sure, ask.
But there are things like the Witches Walk that is going to happen on Wednesday night where there's going to be some people that don't normally walk around nude and they will be walking around nude. And that's something where consent is very key.
Yes.
I'll say, I've already talked to them as a representative of the video crew, and we're going to have one video person there that's going to take some shots ahead of time before the walk with the people that are comfortable with it. So that's kind of the nuance that we're working with that.
But keep in mind that Wasteland is an 18 and over event. And the reason why is because there is nudity. There is burlesque shows. There is people leaving behind, their daily existence and, being more of their core self of what they actually want to project out into the world with less rules. However, nudity is not a costume. It's a good way to get sunburned on some spots that you do not want sunburned.
Oh, yeah. Having some sunburn nip-nops does not feel great.
I have a story that's even worse than just the nip-nops.
Oh, hello.
Very
do share.
Fire roasted taco.
Oh, wait, what? Fire roasted?
Yeah, because
I think every part of my body.
This particular individual was only wearing boots, and only her boots. And the light
She is brave.
Bouncing up from the sand got her where the sun doesn't usually shine.
Oh God!
So
I can't.
Being nude is not a costume. You can, be topless for a little while if you want to. You can have assless chaps if you want to, and incorporate that. Then again, all chaps are assless. But
there is a point where you're going to want to cover
just be like,
up, though.
I'm a naked survivor is just not creative.
That's a choice. Right. That's a choice.
Yeah. I've seen some really great costumes that just have like a topless element, or they'll wear a wrap where it's revealing.
Tasteful nudity, I would say.
Yeah. But yeah, just walking around fully naked actually spoils more than adds to the environment.
It doesn't add anything.
And if you are going to walk around with no bottoms for any reason, and you plan on sitting in someone else's camp for any period of time, bring a wrap or a towel, because no one wants your bare ass on their chair.
Yes, please.
Golly, things. I've been doing this for so long, and these are just some things I never think about.
Keep your ass wet to yourself, if you please.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you're showering all the time. It's just not fun to see someone sit in your personal chair.
Now it's got their footprint on it.
Yeah, but overall, nudity is not only allowed, and it's not necessarily encouraged. But if you feel like you want to be more open, that's part of the experience you can make for yourself. Which is great. And a lot of people take advantage of that. And honestly, here's the thing. Wastelanders are very accepting and open. I've heard from many people that, they went topless for the event and, never felt harassed, never felt judged. No. And I think it's a really cool environment for experimenting with that if it's something you're into.
And one that we want to continue to have so people feel safe so they can be their best selves.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you ask for a picture, say, hey, you look really great, can I get a picture? And they say no, please just respect that.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes I'm on my way somewhere and I have my hands full of pizza. That is not the time I want my picture taken.
Wasteland pizza box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
don't be mean about it.
And for my bros that might sway a little into the uncomfortable zones, someone being topless is not a reason to go give them hugs or touch or any of the above. It's consent for all the things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So smoking and vaping is the next thing on your list here.
It is. You can smoke and vape at the event. There's no set aside space to do it like there would be, let's say, like a Ren Fair or your town festivals, things like that. Have a container for your butts. An old mug.
Which we were just talking about with the towel.
Yes. Well, your cigarette butt specifically. Have a bag, have something to put it in. Don't just drop it and crush it and leave it, please. Because you're introducing really foreign material into the environment that the animals don't need.
I've seen some really creative ashtrays that people will wear. I've seen a belt buckle that opens into an ashtray. Some people will keep one pocket specific on their cargo, whatever.
For their ashes,
that is just for ashes and other moop, which is matter out of place, which is another thing we borrow from Burning Man. Yeah, matter out of place. Yeah, that's Burning Man. We got to come up with a better one for Wasteland, which is probably just
pick
garbage.
Up your shit.
Ask Bridger. He'll come up with something. He's clever like that.
That's a good one. Oh, yeah. Pick up your shit. Poise. But yeah, don't run with that yet.
But
we're gonna put that one on.
Just be courteous to some camps might be smoke free, preferably. So ask before you light up there because somebody might be asthmatic and have an issue with it in their space. Things of that nature. Speaking of smoking in California, you can't get flavored products.
Oh, that's right. They did away with that. This year or last year?
This year or last year.
It was recent.
Yeah. As of And you can't purchase them if you're under 21. So if you can buy them out of state at 18, you can't over here.
Wow.
It was August 2020 that rule came into effect in California.
Got it. Yep.
Other things is if you go to the grocery store, you're going to have to pay for your plastic bags. They're 10 cents a piece. If you're coming in from out of state, you must declare your fruits and vegetables. You may be asked. And buy your wood if you're going to be doing any campfire cooking style. Buy it in-state because of insect transfer and things like that. We try to keep our fruit trees and stuff nice and healthy so you can have that almond milk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also add, get your gas. If you're coming from outside of California, get your
absolutely.
last gas
Fill
before
up
you cross the border.
State line if you're coming from Vegas.
Needles.
Or Needles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But even Needles,
the gas oasis?
Needles
I don't remember
gouges a
where the
little
gas
bit.
oasis is.
So you got to stop one exit before Needles, and don't stop at what's it called?
The gas oasis.
The fast trip.
The Oasis.
Somewhere along the 40.
Yeah.
We stopped there quite a few times. And
it's the most expensive gas on the whole ride.
Yelling. Yeah, it was a few years ago where we thought $5 a gallon was expensive.
In Boron, they just opened a new pilot truck stop. So you can get a shower there. You can fill up your gas there.
Ooh.
And it's real close to site. So it's another great option.
One other thing I'm going to add for the non-Californians, and this isn't even a California versus anywhere else issue, but some camps will still ask you to wear a mask in their camp and just do your best to
accommodate them,
politely accommodate, or don't give them shit for it. Just move on.
There are a lot of people with immune problems and things like that come to the events. So, if that's how they have to rock it to survive, then that's what you got to do.
Right. And, a lot of people with that have immunocompromised conditions.
Yes.
They're already on the edge just to be there. And
their body's already in survival mode. So just introducing even like a common cold could really wreck them for the next several months.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. I think that's it for the California stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if it's illegal at Wasteland.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
However, California is a green state, so if you partake in the green stuff, you're more than welcome to. But the smoking rules still apply. Please don't light up if somebody asks you not to, because that stuff smells differently than cigarette smoke.
And some people react poorly to it.
Some people are allergic to it and things. So if you want to partake, may I suggest something like edibles instead that make you smell?
Well done. And since we're kind of there, if you are going to partake in such things, be a little extra cautious, because just like alcohol, and I don't know if we talked about that yet, but alcohol has quite the extra effect on you there.
Yes, it does.
And some other things can too.
Yes.
So, hydration is important. We're talking about altitude, heat,
we're at a
hydration,
higher elevation than most people, unless you're coming from like Colorado, of course. So the higher elevation, the high UV, the dryness. So when you're usually like a 3 beer a night guy, and you don't get anything, like 1 beer might suddenly get you there.
Yep.
So just go slower than you think. Don't go super hard, super fast, because
right.
You'll get
just
smacked.
like the heat makes you think that you don't need to eat. When you drink early, especially, it makes you think that you don't need to drink water, because your body's like, oh, I'm having liquids.
Yeah.
Just make sure that old rule of like have a glass of water for every drink you have. It's more like 2 or 3 waters for every drink.
Don't start liquor before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Liquor after dark.
And there are some camps that do have bars available, especially if you are friends with that camp, including the Atomic Cafe.
Yes.
And I don't know if the Atomic Cafe does this, but I know that most of the camps that do have alcohol available will also have non-alcoholic drinks available. So
every time I've gone to the Atomic as a non-drinking person, they've given me a non-alcoholic drink.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic. Yeah. So if you are a teetotaler or just trying to take it easy for the night, feel free to ask, and there's no shame.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and if somebody gives you crap for it, like, you don't need to hang out with them anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. So
you didn't pay $300 just to go get fucked up. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. It's become very strong Wasteland tradition to have like Thursday and Friday kind of be the party nights, but then to take it easy on Saturday.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to
be
a little
get
bit
up
fresh.
The next day.
Yeah.
And if you can,
and pack.
If you can, when the sun goes down Saturday, start pre-packing. When it's nice and cool.
Get a couple things done.
Like,
I'll be too busy killing makeshift on the Thunderdome Saturday night.
Saturday night, Thunderdome,
for our
makeshift versus
attendees.
Adept. I'm going to bribe the Thunderdome people to let us in early. So right when the fights start, be there.
Be the person there.
Because
be there, be square.
Adept is going down.
Oh, you think.
Fight for the ages.
I'm undefeated. Oh God, I just jinxed myself. Knock on wood.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Hyped.
Yeah. All right. So Wasteland is, I did the measurement. It's like a 1/4 mile by a 1/2 mile, give or take, for the entire event site. So you can walk around, but let's talk about getting around Wasteland, especially if you're way out in Tent City.
If you're way out in Tent City, like there's a slight hill before you get into the city. And after a while, like that just becomes suck. Like even when you're fit, it just, I don't want to. But You'll see lots of cars going around and stuff. The theme cars especially. You can flag one of them down and they might give you a ride. Just tell them where you want to go. And usually they're more than happy to. It's just part of their experience and their enjoyment to be a taxi service. So take advantage.
Yeah. People like Travis Blankenbaker, who he drives his Mad Max ride around. And it's this giant camper on a truck chassis with a car body tucked in between. And that's what he loves to do. He just wants to drive around and give people rides and talk to them and show it off. And it's just so super fun when I'm carrying cameras around, or even if I'm just trying to get to the other side of site, stick out your thumb and somebody will pick you up.
Absolutely. And take advantage. Keep in mind that service does stop when the sun goes down for safety, because everyone's kind of wobbly at a certain point in the night and things like that. So no drinking and driving, of course.
And 5 miles per hour.
And 5 miles an hour or less. But if you can do it too, like small vehicles, old Honda ATC 3-wheelers, quads, mini bikes, tractors, those are all great forms of transportation that let you get from point A to point B. And, if you're wise with it, you can do a whole event on a tank of gas. Can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, and the bicycle has become a thing. Just make sure that whatever ride you're trying to bring, especially if you're going into the city, just do a little bit of wasting on it.
Absolutely.
Some spray paint, some rust effects.
Make sure you have fat tires on your bicycle and you have puncture guards, because there are goat heads. We talked about earlier.
Those goat heads.
And they will flatten a tire.
They're not just the tribe that has a wonderful stage and a foosball tournament.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I haven't played yet, but foosball is my game. And I'm definitely getting in there this year for some foosball. They got me because they said it was backwards foosball. And then I walked up to the table and I was like, no, these are correct. And then they kind of laughed.
I'll come and cheer you on.
Yeah.
So speaking of tribes, most tribes have a custom cap, right?
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Most, but then there are weird snobby tribes that don't ever want to use caps, and they'll use literally anything else. I can't think of a single tribe who it's us. It's us.
I haven't seen a Farlander cap.
The Farlanders do not have caps. We will do
bizarre.
anything else.
Well, they're in a different ecosystem because they're way out east.
I don't want
everybody.
That's a good
listen. I'm
reason.
The kind of person. Everybody does caps. I don't want to do caps. We'll have some fun stuff this year though, especially if you do the gas game.
But speaking of caps, usually they're custom printed, so it's not like Corona caps or something like that. Like those do trade, but they're not going to be the same value. These are like personal cards and things like that, or they're tokens, trading card, that kind of a economy thing. My fridge is almost half covered now with bottle caps that I've collected.
I love that.
That's so cool.
I buy 1-inch magnets.
And just hot glue them inside.
No, don't even hot glue them. Just stick the magnet to the end and just stick it to the fridge. So then I can rearrange them and put my kids announcements and stuff up. And
that's so fun.
Little Wasteland all year round.
I love it.
But aside from caps, because some people are unusual and don't have them, the Last Chance Casino, I'm not sure if they're coming this year or not, but they have their own cap that's recognizable. Some people will barter for caps, and there's other people who do other forms of currency, like Coyote Canyon dollars or other things like that. So just be aware that there's several different kinds of currency running around that you can use for barter at times.
And yeah, the Last Chance Casino is on the map, so
sweet.
they are going to be there. Yeah, so those will be the orange caps that are like punched and that kind of thing.
Yeah, they look kind of beat up.
Yeah, and of course, they have no cash value. You can go earn caps at the casino or trade for them throughout the waste, and then you can go play casino games and all sorts of stuff with them.
Yeah, I remember our first year, I wasn't 100% sure on the whole concept of the Last Chance Casino. I was like, I'll just start collecting bottle caps. That's a genius idea. And then I realized that they were specialized, and I was like,
never mind.
Yeah. I didn't plan ahead. Right. So it is important to remember they are specialized.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the company we use is usually Bottlemark.
Yeah, yes, bottlemark.com. They love us. And if you mention Wasteland, you'll usually get some kind of a special message.
Yes,
which is great. But yeah, a few other tribes have also created some currencies. What other currencies have we seen out there?
There will be a new one this year.
Oh, hello.
You'll just have to come do the gas mission for the Farlanders to see, or maybe barter for something or else. I'm very excited to introduce them. Got a little sneak peek on my Facebook, but you'll have to get a little bit more of the lore. There's also Undertown has Coyote Canyon bucks, I believe.
It's highly inflated. They're almost worthless.
Highly.
Watch out for the frog jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, but
who's another tribe that has money? I don't.
The Juggers in years past have done gold bars and gold and silver coin.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was a fun year. Yeah. Was the year that we were still at war with the Juggers, and so I made it my mission to collect as much of their gold as possible, and basically bought out the entire market. And I just handed it to Grim on like Saturday night, and it was like most of the gold. And then it was 2 years later, I told City Buster that I did that, and he was like, "That's where it all went."
You're like, "Sorry, not sorry."
Yeah, because there was the bank. It was a guy on stilts, and he actually had like trade values for all the currencies.
He had worked it out.
And I went up to him and I was like, "Do you have any Jugger gold?" And he was like, "Yeah." Let me check the trading value, and it was pretty low at the moment. And I was like, "I'll take it all."
It's like some Animal Crossing nonsense. Do you know if it's going to be here this year? Because I want to get our Farlander.
I don't know. It's been kind of like random.
Hit and miss, yeah.
But yeah, certain tribes will have, they'll have like trading currency values, depending on, how interested someone is in doing that. Because it can be a bit complicated.
I know way back when there was NCR dollars, but that was a long time ago.
Right. That's been a minute.
Yeah, the NCR hasn't been there in a little bit. But there is someone still kind of holding down the theme. They're just not the NCR tribe, I don't think.
Maybe someday they'll come back.
Someday, yeah.
We'll hope.
And what else? There's a bunch of other stuff to barter too, like just random things, especially useful items. Right?
For sure. Sealed things like toothbrush kits, because that's the one thing you always forget, right? And then you're like, "Oh, I have the mankiest breath." Sunscreen tubes, dry shampoo. Also shiny things. Wastelanders are kind of crow-like, so we like bangles and shinies and goggles, hats, things you can wear right away, patches, pins.
Personalized things too. Something that you put effort into.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And along with that, if you need something, ask for it, and someone might trade you for it. I've definitely traded out like a gallon of gas, and gallons of water, some beverages to tribe mates.
Yes, I bartered for fixing someone's motorcycle.
Oh, very nice.
Oh,
yeah. Their spark plug was gapped wrong, so I had to fix it.
Yeah. There is Bartertown, which is actually like cash vendors.
Yes.
So bring cash because
they got good stuff.
Digital payment methods don't necessarily work there.
The internet is pretty hammered out there, so don't rely on it. So
yeah, some of them will have it and some won't. But yeah, bring lots of cash.
Which is another thing. If you're going into town runs, bring cash. There have been reports in the past of card skimming and things like that. So just be, pretend it's 1995.
Right. But since Bartertown is mostly cash sales, the funny thing is tribes will have barter tables that are barter only. So you can find a lot of like barter only around Wasteland, which is straight up barter. And I actually last year and the year before, I forgot my reusable cup. And so I actually went to a barter table to get one, which is great because people have stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what else? All right. So that's pretty much our bartering things. Just kind of be open. Anything can happen. You know, there might be a currency you've never heard of. There might be some barter abilities that you never would have thought of. Just be open-minded and kind of go with the flow. And the last thing you've got on here before the checklist is wasteland names. So I gave myself mine. Not everyone chooses their own name, but yeah, kind of
give me everybody does.
Once over.
You might hear from some veterans, it's like, you have to have your name given to you by another Wastelander.
Boo! I gave myself mine.
If you want to do it that way, no one's stopping you.
Yeah.
But if you want to call yourself...
I will give you a weird name.
If you want to call yourself Skullfucker McGee, go for it. But you better live up to it.
Is the McGee really necessary, though?
Yes.
You better live up to it.
You better live up to it.
Oh, my God.
You know? That's a moniker that deserves respect. You know?
I feel like some of the best ways.
Even though she's only 4 foot tall.
Yeah. She's a skullfucker. I feel like the best Wasteland names really come with a bizarre story, though.
Oh, those are the very best ones. I've given out many a name to people.
Same. I should not be allowed to give out names because that's how Crybaby got his name. Yeah. Crybaby, Bop It, Mudflaps, Pantaloons.
Nice. But yeah, you can kind of... you can either make up your own name, or if someone gives you one and you accept it, just run with it.
Yeah.
If someone gives you a name and you don't accept it, just let them know to
like,
not
I don't
call
like
you
that. And go on.
Yeah. That happened within our tribe. I tried to give someone a name. It was not a derogatory name, but it was a joke name. Right. Mm-hmm. And she, at one point, I called her that name and she was like, didn't respond well. And I was like, wait, do you not like the name? She's like, no. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I won't call you that anymore. And I was like, do you have another one? And she told me the name that she chose. And I was like, oh, then that's what you are.
Yeah. That's your name now. Congratulations.
And that's pretty much how those conversations should go. Like, don't force a name on anyone because we're not trying to spoil anyone's good time.
No. And one of the other services I provide is I do a Wasteland census, which is the collection of people's Facebook names and their Wasteland names so you can find them later.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or you can just
fantastic.
Have them both be the same thing.
I'm looking for Skullfuck McGee, and her name is like Sarah Smith.
Right.
That is very helpful though, because I don't do great with remembering who is who. Right. Like I will know you by your
Wasteland
Facebook name so much that you tell me your Wasteland name, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time.
So it's just like in one of those things where, I saw a niche and I filled it with a service, and that's kind of been my gig for years.
Once again, coming in clutch with those Google Docs.
They're free.
They're free. I also feel like, though, this is kind of a particular thing, and I'm just going to put this out there because whatever, don't judge me. I feel like if you do, there are some people that don't want to be called their actual name at Wasteland.
Oh, absolutely.
And just respect that.
It breaks their immersion.
I had a couple people who happened to know the secret call me that, and I got really upset. Yeah. I was like, that was shitty. Because first of all, if you do know me, you do know that most people don't know who I actually am, and I would prefer to keep it that way because I'm cool like that, but also I've developed like a thing.
Right. This is my persona. When I'm here, I'm on vacation, this is who I am. And that's totally legit.
Like, and respect that. If somebody's like, don't do that. Like, don't do it as a joke because it's not funny.
Right. Yeah. Some people have like highly corporate or government jobs where if they get dead named or if like compromising pictures of them come out. Yeah.
Be respectful of people who have changed themselves into who they want to be.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think what you're saying there is people represent themselves a lot of different ways.
Yes.
Just let them do what they do and
like
celebrate.
If somebody called me by my
leave them alone.
actual name in the Wasteland, I would be pretty confused.
Yeah.
Your name is Muse.
I answer to that way more readily than I do my actual factual name.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Awesome. Well, that pretty much gets us through the Mojave Muse's Guide to Survival. There is some more information on there that we didn't touch on. Obviously, a lot more details that we didn't have time for. And the most important thing is, Muse, you've got a few checklists here, like before you leave.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just going to kind of brush through those really quick. Like, check the weather, make sure your car is ready to go.
Good to go. Yeah.
Bring your passport, insurance cards, and your tickets, that kind of thing. Yeah. There's no printer there, so print your stuff ahead of time.
Digital is fine. Paper is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Write your name on your cell phone case, stuff like that.
Yes.
And
take
then, of course,
picture of yourself in costume, and then in the text editor in your phone, put your name and where to find you as your lock screen.
As your wallpaper,
yeah. As your lock screen.
So they go, oh, it's this bastard. I got to go find them.
Yep.
Smart.
But if you do lose something, Wasteland does keep a lost and found. But here's the rub, guys.
It's not for long.
It's only until about noon on Sunday. And then the lost and found is closed.
Yes.
And if you don't pick it up by the time you leave, you will not get it. Of course, if it's a cell phone or really valuable something or some keys, they're going to hold that. But like your cups and your costume pieces, those are getting donated.
Your bangles, your stuff, it's just stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's valuable to you, make sure you
But if it's something that's precious to you, like your grandpa's war medal or something like that, don't bring it. The desert likes to take trinkets, and that might be what it chooses. Yeah,
they'll drop in front of you and be covered in sand first thing.
Yeah.
But also, there's a printable checklist of gear at the end. So not only am I going to link you to this guide of survival, but I'll also give a separate link to that checklist because it's super helpful. Even if you've gone every year.
I still use it, and I've done this for years.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to give you guys both a chance to just give one last message out. And Muse, I'm going to have you go first.
All right. As we are in the middle of August when this is being recorded, now's an excellent time to start drinking a whole lot more water. You want to be a nice, plump person full of water by the time you get out here, because you don't want to be starting off as a raisin and trying to work your way up. First day dehydration headaches suck balls super hard.
Yeah, hydration kind of takes practice, doesn't it?
It does.
Like you can actually build up your hydration.
Yeah. So now's a great time to start that. If you haven't worn in your boots yet, well, you're behind the game. Get started.
Wear them every day. Yep. Awesome. All right, Adept. What do you want to tell the survivors out there?
Survivors, if you, like myself and many others, are flying to Wasteland this year and have done many times in the past, also create your own checklists. Now is the time to be buying your plane tickets. If you haven't already, please do not wait any longer. Trust me on that. Make sure everything can fit in a suitcase. If you cannot fly with it, please send it with somebody or ship it to somebody. And you are going to want to hydrate as aggressively because flying adds another layer of dehydration. So get it together, get your stuff packed, get your luggage ready, take over the world.
Yeah. And on that same note, if you're planning on renting an RV, you're behind as well. So get on that and definitely check out Outdoorsy. I use an Outdoorsy RV for Neotropolis and it worked out perfect. That's just like the Airbnb of RV rentals. So rather than getting it from a big company, you can rent it from an individual, which could be good or bad.
Roll the dice.
For me, it worked out really well.
Don't panic.
We did it.
Yeah,
we made it through the list. And don't panic.
You're more capable than you think you are, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. When in doubt, team up with your neighbors, make some friends. The Wasteland, while the Wasteland does not provide, Wastelanders do provide. And so, just speak up if you need to. And just have a lot of fun. That's what it's all about.
We're here to have fun.
It is fun. You're here to have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing something right, and you should probably not do it anymore.
Yep.
And if you do find that it's not for you, it's totally okay to leave. Don't feel the sunk cost policy that, I spent all this money, I have to do all 5 days. Like, if it's not your vibe when you get here, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And this comes from Chops Bailey from years ago, but party medium is always good advice, which basically means, have a good time, but take it easy because
if you're too drunk to remember it, then
it wasn't worth it. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below as a comment, and we'll do our best to get back to you on those. Of course, you can find all three of us on Facebook, and there are tons of materials that you can look into. Wastelander Central is probably where you're going to get the most information on Facebook, but there's also the unofficial rideshare, Tribe LARP, and lore pages. There's Wastelanders Unite if you want something a little bit less official. And of course, there is the Wastelander Basic Training Facebook page where you can ask even the stupidest questions. Yeah. Ask the dumb questions there. Don't ask the dumb questions on Central.
Unless you want to get roasted.
Yeah, you will get absolutely roasted. But if you're on Basic, there's a 90% chance I'm the one answering your question.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. But super excited for all you guys that'll be out there for the first time. You're going to have the time of your lives and hopefully find something that you're going to love for the rest of your life. And for those of you returning, can't wait to see you there.
One of us. One of us.
Wasteland has a way of just getting its claws in you. And I gotta
It'll
say,
change your life.
Neotropolis is the same. Both of these events are great. So fun. And feel free to this guide is going to work for Neotropolis for the most part too.
Which I do have a Neotropolis survival guide as well.
Oh, with a few little edits in it.
A few little edits in, a little more cyberpunk flavored, and a little more geared for cold weather camping.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. All right, guys. Well, as always, subscribe to this show wherever you're listening, whether it's on YouTube or on your favorite podcast player. It's in most places. And leave a thumbs up if you can. It helps the algorithm. And feel free to leave comments and questions. And of course, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends. And if you hated it, share it with your enemies, along with a bag of your stinkiest garbage for them to take home. Good God. Thank you guys so much for being on today.
Make sure your period pads are in there too.
Thank you for having me. Make sure
this was wonderful. I'm so glad I got a chance to be on here.
Absolutely. All right, survivors, until next time, stay alive.